My name is Christina Freeman. I have something called Other Specified Dissociative Disorder 1B, which is a form of multiple personalities. Each different voice you hear comes from a different part of me. I'm an artist, and OSDD 1B has had an uncanny impact on my art.
I can't tell you how cool it is to draw like this. Automatic writing is what it's called. And you can see how candid it just shoots out. People are like, why do you draw so dark? And I'm like, you know what? It's organic. I've got stuff inside myself. Seven. There we go, another 7. I want to give her a mouth. She's trying to speak. When I can't find the thing that my alters really want, then we just have to compensate for it another way. There's an A. An A is another significant, just like there are significant numbers, there are significant letters too. A, E, R. 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 Okay, another piece, I think. Ooh, but that does look cool, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I'm also a composer. OSDD 1B has affected my singing voice as well. I'm like a choir when I sing.
And existential prayer hangs heavy in diluted air of my apartment as I stare out the window with no view. Sweat cooling in my bed, I can't remember sleep. Thoughts dripping through my head, there isn't a patch leak. Now the overwhelming puddles flood my mind, drowning my sanity. And then I start to sink, and then I start to sink.
And I'm a writer. My altars have brought my words to life. I will be compiling each of my different forms of expression into a documentary called There Is a Problem. There's a problem. Will tell the story of my life. How I developed this case of OSDD1B and what living with OSDD1B is like. As I tell the story of my life, I will be targeting 2 different audiences. Number 1, the LDS Church. Their repressed culture has fueled horrific cycles of unacknowledged sexual abuse. Number 2, the psychiatric community. More than half of the discourse on dissociative identity disorder discredits survivors like me. A majority of psychiatric experts believe that DID is not real, but a product of iatrogenic hysteria. I am here to tell you that those doctors are wrong. They are wrong, and in their error, they bludgeon their patient's ability to heal. I will be telling the story of my life by describing with prose and song each of my different artworks. This piece is the first. This piece is called The Horcrux. The Horcrux details my conflicted relationship with my parents. My parents are good people. They have always loved me. But love alone is not enough to compensate for abuse. My father molested me for 12 years. I was a very little girl when the incest started. Incest does more to a person than people want to hear. But it's time they listen anyways. The Horcrux also confronts the way that Mormonism's rhetoric on sexuality aggravates and shames victims of sexual abuse. I'm going to share now a portion of my writing about the Horcrux. Female victims of sexual abuse have a hard time living up to the church's idealized mold of a woman composed of restraint and repose. The church wants dignified embodiments of young women goals. They want someone who values faith more than what she knows. They want an eternal optimist with an innocence that shows in her face. She will not be disgraced. She won't be used or demeaned. When they say they want women who are virtuous, they mean women who are clean from any sexual sin. Of course, she can be forgiven, but not too much. Mormon men don't love sluts. It just isn't just. It's hard to have faith when you don't know how to trust. And you can't fake upbeat or pretend to be sweet when you feel like you're drowning in destructive despair. It should be okay to scream. It should be okay to swear. Why the fuck would God care if victims use a harsh word to lament their sad curse? When fathers play around with their little girls' bodies, it gets wired in our brain like an unforgiving chain. We are slaves. To what feels naughty. And corrupt. And for our slavery, we are judged. Did you masturbate this week? Did you let the boys mistreat you? No, you can't take the sacrament yet, but keep trying. The more that war raged in my soul, the more they kept denying my right.
to reach out to the Savior without feeling like a blight in his fold. I have trauma still from the things my bishops told me. Like after learning that my testimony was strained and I couldn't contain my tormented inclinations to seduce nasty, awful men, even though I wanted to stop. But like the hands on a clock, I just couldn't escape the descent of my fate. When one bishop learned all of that, he decided to put me on informal probation. All that tortured information earned me shame. What I wanted was help. What I received was blame. Do you hear that little voice? Do you know what you're averting when you make harlots and Jezebels and all the other daughters from hell take remorseful accountability for their pain? Instead of setting victims free, you strangle them with the childhood chain their fathers made. Fortunately, I got away before things got worse. I took away their power to upbraid the nature of my tortured, dismal state when I left the Mormon church at 25. But not everybody makes it out like I did. I've talked to women who were still trapped in the terrible hold of the church's grasp when their trauma hit its peak. When they became so sexual they wanted to die, their bishops replied by forming a formal disciplinary council. In front of a room full of men, they had to confess all their sins. I'm told of an occurrence where the list went on and on. The brethren couldn't believe that one woman could commit so many appalling misdeeds. Finally, one of the men thought to ask her, "Did anyone sexually abuse you when you were a child?" I'm told the woman started to cry in an anguishing, wild way. I hope those untrained men felt the need to defray. I hope they felt the gravity of their mistakes. How dare they? How dare they think that it's okay to magistrate, even excommunicate a person like me? They don't know what a sinner is. It's not a girl who acts dirty. It's a room full of sanctimonious men who look at hurt like a stain that offends. No one deserves the disdain that ascends their consensus. They confuse unworthy with defenseless.
The emotion in that recording doesn't just stem from the experiences I had being disciplined by unlearned clergy. A number of my bishops were very kind. The emotion in that recording is a plea. Let's stop condemning church members for their sexuality. I cried on behalf of teenage boys who are constantly asked if they masturbate and watch porn. I cried on behalf of broken marriages. Wives are taught to hold their husband to an unrealistic norm. More than anything, though, my tears flowed as I felt the parts of my story that I haven't told yet. This piece is just a subset. I have so much to say about sexual abuse. Pain has taught me many things. I need to share those truths.